Welcome to my video of based on different team compositions. My name is Jevon, and I am in the guild No Jar Jars Allowed. As you can see, we've got some guys here. I'm not top of our guys. I'm sitting here at 8 right now, and yeah, we have some solid hitters, some good players. So this video is for a few of those who are asking. Just want to see some different team compositions, and I figure videos of AAT are rare, so let's get in here with a decent unconventional team. So this is what I'm going to start with. It has quite a few benefits I like. Lots of stuns, which is really good actually for phase 3. I hadn't really thought about it. I was sort of it's just the phase we're on when I decided to do the videos to show these teams. So this should actually work quite well. So Ray feeding, Leia feeding crit to Ray and the rest of the team. Leia and Akbar are guaranteed to proc each other because of Akbar's lead. Getting here with Ray. We're going to need this Royal Guard to do that, which also procs that, as you see. So his defense up does proc Leia, and then as does Akbar here. With all his, it's guaranteed because Leia is the only other rebel. Leia goes on her double hit. Bad. It's obviously a bit of a slow process. The stuns in this group are really nice. You can mitigate quite a bit of damage. Obviously the tanks don't do much damage to the boss other than feed him turn meter, so it's sort of best to use them on him. Now you see that's why I used the defense up there early on, was to make sure that I didn't lose somebody to that tank turret shot. So if I land a stun on him, no, he's dodged. These buff ones, you want to either stun them or kill them or ability block them. You need to do something, otherwise they will not be great. So I'm going to clear those buffs, do a heal and proc Leia. This guy's turn's coming up, so I'm going to run a stun on him. So I would generally find I end up using Akbar before Ducker. It's probably, I guess, just my age-old habit from Ducker of saving her res closer to when someone dies. That way, if they do go down, you've sort of got that double chance to res. So while that guy's stunned at no turn meter with the buff, and just keep on this boss, get what damage I can in. That worked out well. I'm going to do that. As you see, Akbar's the tactical genius. Whatever hero it procs on, it also heals them. It's I wasn't aware it actually done that for a little while. I've really come to appreciate it. As you can see, these buffs on Ray are just a godsend. So hopefully we don't get hit with any healing immunity. Perfect. I'll pop that off, and as you can see, my Ducker heal also procs Leia. That's one thing I feel I really like the synergy in this team, because sort of everyone except Ray, who's just copying all these lovely buffs to do all the damage really, her and Leia obviously, and the rest are there to provide the support and the procs for her to just really lay out the pain. Somebody that's droid, it's not a favourable situation. Oh, he's got 2 up, he's not happy with me. There goes my Royal Guard. That is okay. I shouldn't have attacked that. I need to get on this one. It's really looking grim now. But it wasn't too bad of a run. Yeah, got a % or 2 off. Well, I'm really amazed she healed there. Oh, sorry, resed. I've never actually seen someone res up when the ducker hasn't like that. That's really interesting. So it's not a great run. I have done better. I think the reset just before, I think I've done about 180 with the same team. Um, so obviously it's a bit RNG and all of that as well. So let's go with something else here. Now I guess I'll go with a first order team. It's generally pretty quick. They actually performed. I done a first order team on the last reset as well, and I was kind of impressed. They seem to do better on phase 3 than they do on the first two phases. The first two phases only seem to manage, I think, average about 50. Best I've sort of seen on the first two phases would have been 70, 80,000. Where like the first one I done here, and it was just an auto on the boss, and I got 111,000, which is really good for first order compared to what I've seen for their numbers. And I generally sort of use them a lot as my throwaway squad, especially on like phase 2 when the turrets are, maybe you've had just a bad luck, and you've got 2 fresh turrets and you've got to sort of handle, or one's about to kill somebody. I find the first order stormtroopers good at eating that first tank shot that you sometimes it'll shoot before you ever have an opportunity to even take a turn. This is looking kind of grim here with this droid too. I'm trying to lay him out, but as you can see, first order, not the highest DPS. This group works as well as it does to a regard due to the counter chance. I've only just recently been using 5s, and I just find the counter works. As you see, my first order stormtrooper eats the tank shot as predicted. It's not 100%. I have seen it once or twice and not take him out first time when it gets used and he's in the group. But generally, I said about 90% of the time I'd say it'll pick him. So if nothing else, he's good for that, and he's sort of just a weaker 5s that does a bit of countering and puts some speed down. I guess on the good note, if you had him high enough, you could possibly, he would be better for Rancor than 5s, as he wouldn't do the double tap. I think he has a little lower counter chance though. So I'm intending to get him up and get some real good crit damage and crit mods on him, and I think he might actually hold up alright. That counter damage could come up to about 4k, and you might actually see some better results there. Where, I don't know if you've seen it on the screen, but my Kylo, he's a gear 9, and he's still terrible. A lot of people say he's too slow, which is true, but I think what really highlights the point of how slow he is that I don't think I've ever seen Kylo Ren resist the negative status effect. Every time. If there's a Kylo Ren, just try and put a stun on him. You just sneeze on him and it'll land. And then he's got this long-term turn as well, so there's, the other opponent generally will get 2 turns in between his turn, and they've got, like, so many ways to stun him that he never even gets a chance to use his retribution. It's crazy. Anyway, moving on. I'll run my Jedi. They're not too bad. I'm really liking Barriss, as she removes negative status effects at the end of each turn now. And I find her good. Obviously any healer's sort of good, I guess, behind a Gundy. Because his counter, either for Barriss here, will proc her percentage heal chance, when she does her basic, and she can heal the whole party for, I think it's 5% of her health or so. And if you don't have Barriss and using like Consular, it obviously his basic counters, if you weren't already aware of this, have a chance to proc his chance to reduce his cooldowns even on the counter. So, like, the more he's countering and assisting, the more it's going to reduce that heal cooldown for you. So we've got an offense up here. Take a few of these guys out. I'm going to try and get a fortitude. No, at least he dodges the counter though. We can do that, why not? Might not be the best thing. I know you're not sort of meant to kill the druids, but should have stripped that offense up actually. Now obviously I've got Gundy's Omega basic, so he lands that defense a lot more. Now my Yoda, this is beautiful. Love Yoda. That foresight, AoE, and the tenacity and the spread of buffs. One thing I have found though recently with, I guess you could call it like his weakness, his little Achilles heel, is obviously the buff immunity, like playing against him with a JKA and also run B2 quite often. If you can land that buff immunity onto a Yoda before he does his battle meditation for the tenacity up, the tenacity up won't even go out. Like, no one will get it, even if if the rest of your party doesn't have buff immunity, but Yoda does. It's like he doesn't gain the tenacity buff to spread it to the party. It's interesting. I hadn't really noticed it until I've sort of been using him a bit more and coming up against him a bit more in the arena. So there we go again, the nicely timed defense up. As you may have noticed, I'm sort of using it around the 2/3 on the tank turret turn meter up the top, up here the cursor's going. So so there's another one. It's a good thing about his team, lots of AoE defense up, defense down on the droid, and he can just monster, obviously. And the counter's lovely. I really like counter on, especially Yoda. He gets his foresight and his turn meter. Got all of Yoda Omega except for his AoE buff steal 1. I have been getting a little tempted though with, especially on the one phase with the turrets, phase 2 and stuff, or any AoE, which has obviously become a bit more important since AAT's come out. It actually doesn't hit too hard, and the Omega's another 15%, so it might actually become a bit of a force to be reckoned with. So I'm tempted to give it a go. I can't help but, it can only strengthen my Jedi team further. So, and I'm getting to the point where most of my geared level characters are pretty much Omega'd. There's a couple I've got to bring up. My Lando, he's 1 or 2. But for those who aren't 85 yet, I've only been here maybe nearly a week. You get Omegas from your ability mat challenge. It's not a guaranteed thing. I think my first time I got 2 or 3. Most times after that I've probably got just the one each sort of day's challenge. Obviously, we're at 4 turns left, which isn't too shabby. I feel you hit in rage on this phase, you're doing alright. This team I generally hit in rage on for phase 1, phase 2 generally as well. Normally get 2-3 topples with my better teams. Obviously as I get down to my 5th team, it's sort of a lot of just what I've got left, higgledy-piggledy throwing in, so I won't sort of torture you with those teams. He's just hitting rage. Oh my god, he's going to get one shot yet again. I'm actually really impressed. And a fresh tank shot. So if you can end it like that, that's perfect. If you can have the tank be the last hit on your person, it means when you go in with your next team, if you weren't aware of this, will then be at the same point, just like a Galactic War. If you throw a team away in Galactic War, a low team, all the abilities the enemy used on those low teams will be on cooldown when you go in with a better team next time round. So the same applies to your raids, Rancor, AAT, everything. So if you weren't aware of that, definitely worth taking advantage of. As you can see, it's it's not a million like a lot of people are getting with a Serpentine or anything like that. I can get highest with this team in Phase 1, obviously where Jedi shine. But that team works quite well. I do like switching around my Anakin when I can, and throw him as a lead with some clones and Jedi too. I find can work well. I am about to unlock Rexo, so I'll probably end up putting him in a clone lead position instead and keep Anakin on, because those Anakin hit so hard, and the more counters he's doing, that's obviously helping him a lot. I'll go my droids. My droids aren't great, to be honest. My droids are good, like they're geared. Sorry, I get a bit OCD about positioning, and I'm sure it has no effect. So I find my Nebbit's up, my engineer's 6-star, but he's only 63, so I'm not going to run him here. I've got a couple of sort of options. I could go the Poggle, or I could go the Lando. Alright, the Nebbit just seems too slow without the engineer. He's like, people are dead before he takes his turn nearly. It's phenomenal. So I'm going to give Lando a go. Sorry, he's still coming up. He's about to hit 80 and G10. Once he hits 80, I've got the piece waiting to fill the slot and upgrade him. His mods need some cash put into them. But hopefully should get some nice crits. I know I shouldn't. I'm into AoE still, I guess, but curious to see how he's performing, because I haven't used him very much for sort of the level he's starting to get to. So I'm going now. If you weren't aware of this, for this phase also, the buff immunity does stop the buff that he puts on the droids going on to the droid. If it's on the droid he tries to put it on, but you can't. I haven't been able to actually remove the buff once it's there, so I'm pretty sure that one wasn't debuffed, so I'm just going to drop that on them. Got my crits. Might test the ability block theory if it goes up, and it didn't. Tile ability block will stop, because I don't know if you can see. Let's see. So I'm trying to hover over this buff to highlight it. Directed to use special ability, and they have lower speed. So, I always wondered, if you ability block it, does that then mean they have to use it but they can't, so they essentially don't use it. And I'm told that is the case. As you see here though, the B2 will not strip the buff, so that's the only thing I've found that really doesn't work against it. But it will stop it going up in the first place, as I said earlier, if it gets placed on it. I was really lucky to not lose someone there. That droid is down. I can get back onto the rocket. I do like my Magma Trooper, for those who, because I know a lot of people he's not someone you see in Arena. Obviously the IGs, B2, HK, Jawas, but not so much your Magma, where he's sort of been a staple for me for a long time. I'm sort of not looking forward to it, but I know I'm going to have to drop him. out of my main raid group of droids. I'm sort of hoping that my droids, my leftover droids that I'm bound to have, once I sort of mix in my Jawas, will then help. They can fill in like a secondary droid Jawa squad that could hopefully work to some regard, even just to throw in another, lousy 50, 100k or something. Throw in your Poggle, your Magna Guard. Probably B2, because my plan will be HK, IG 86, Grievous, Nebbit, JE. Depending if the new Rebel droid that got released to Android becomes farmable. In that case, here comes the ability block on this droid. With the green on him, as I was mentioning, the one I have selected, so I'm going to let him actually do his thing, and we'll test this theory, and I'll have it recorded for you guys to actually see, so you don't have to test this as well. It did, because from what I've seen, they either use their assist ability, which just looks like it's the same as the IG-88 assist ability animation, or they throw a grenade like HK's Meatbag Mayhem that will put like like skull markers on some of your guys, and it makes it so when they get hit they lose turn meter and lots of nasty stuff that you don't want. It's about to be the end. So as I sort of guess, I started off the title of the video, Unconventional Teams, because it's definitely an unconventional sort of droid team. Granted, there weren't a lot, huge amount of choices for droids, as I think all I'm really missing is an 88. My Grievous just isn't high enough, and my Jawas are still works in progress, obviously, but I haven't even unlocked 80 yet. I just planned a Grievous, now he's in fleet shipment, so I guess, so that's my arena payout, which is nice, but we will go, show you, that's who I'm after, droid. So these are my droids, and then, so 88, the new one, and so my Grievous is going to play the role in phase 3 there, as I said earlier. But that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any questions, comments, opinions, obviously please leave them. I love any feedback. I hope you've enjoyed and you've taken something away from it. I think my next video is probably could be some teams in Rancor or later phases. We'll see what people sort of request, and other than that, anything else I think you guys are going to find useful, I will come across. I also have my alt account on Android, which I may do some from, for those, he's about 67, so a little bit lower level accounts who are on their way, on the up and coming, preparing for Palpatine, some stuff for that, especially as a lower level, can be a bit tough, especially if you weren't expecting it. So I'll share some hints and tips and insights from that in my next video as well. So I look forward to next time. Thanks for watching. It's Jevon from No Jar Jars Allowed, shouting out. Bye.